Hello, Internet. Welcome back to our part 2 of the SignalR in Unity video series, I guess. So what we're doing is trying to integrate SignalR into Unity. If you're unfamiliar, SignalR is a way for you to actually send remote procedure calls or invoke functions remotely on a server and also have that server remotely invoke functions on clients. This gives you a way to actually send chat messages back and forth or send other messages back and forth. What we're trying to do is take this console app and web server that we created last episode and bring this into Unity so that we can now have something where our console app can send a message. So let's say we want to update our new name to World of Zero. We can send that and get a name updated message back. And we want to send that into our game. And what that's going to mean is that I can send messages from my console app and change variables or send information or invoke functions inside of a game. This means that eventually we can actually hook this into a mobile app using just normal JavaScript, or we're probably going to use Blazor, which is just a C# WebAssembly version of that. We're going to be able to invoke functions from a mobile app inside of Unity. So you can actually have people logging in on their phones and sending things to your game. That's the idea. This is all just mostly for testing purposes. I haven't really tried this. I haven't gotten it working. So I think it's going to work, but I don't really know. All I know is that the DLLs import and build, and I don't get a bunch of red scary text. That's pretty much it. So yeah, that's basically what we're doing. So this is my project. There's nothing here. I've intentionally left it basically empty. It's a new project with a whole bunch of DLLs. So if you're unfamiliar, this is working by importing DLLs directly into Unity, which are used as a way to run custom code. Unity doesn't supports this part natively, but I'm getting these from NuGet, which isn't supported. So the way that I've been doing this, just to kind of show you, is I created this git deps project, which just adds the dependency I need. And then I just ran that, published it, and grabbed all the binaries that I needed in order to use it. Important when you're doing this to make sure that the version of the package that you're using is compatible with what Unity is using. So if you're unfamiliar, you can find that under, where is it? Project settings? I think so. Yeah. So there we go. Under configuration, there's a few different things you can choose. You can choose mono, which is the default, or you can choose IL2CPP, which is going to convert the intermediate language that .NET uses into a binary that is automatically compiled for you. So it just skips over the .NET runtime entirely. And then you have the API compatibility level, which is either .NET Framework or .NET Standard. You probably should just use .NET Standard, but this choice is going to impact the binaries that are going to be supported by whatever you choose. So in this case, I need all of the binaries that I'm using to be compatible with .NET Standard 2.1. And so that's happened because the project builds, so we're good. If you're new to this, I do not recommend starting here. This is not a good place to start because all of these dependencies are in here because they're dependent on this one library that I wanted to use. So in my project definition, I just wanted this, and now I have like 16 different binaries. And so the reason that's happened, the reason I have all of these is because they're dependent on something else in that chain. NuGet will solve that for you. That's why I use the solution I do. But managing and figuring out what the error is when this isn't right is really hard. So I would recommend starting smaller, maybe create your own DLL, create like a sample library with a single class and a single function in it. Try to import that directly, see what works, and then maybe expand from there, rather than starting with something that has all of this. It'll be easier. So once you get all of this, it should compile. So what I want to do now is take this console app that we've been writing. Where did I put it? There we go. So if we open up our program, I want to take this and plug this into Unity. So our server is already running. I'm not even going to stop the server because we don't need to change that. It's already working. I don't need to stop the console app either. That can keep running too. All I want to do is just add a new client to this existing system. So I'm just going to add my game as another client. And so what we really need is just these 3 lines. We need to create a connection to our server, set up a callback function, and then start that connection. And that's it. We're not going to be sending messages, so I'm going to ignore that for now. And we're just going to pretend like that doesn't exist. So all of this other stuff, we're just going to ignore because our Unity thing is just going to be receiving these messages. That's sort of, in my mind, that's sort of what I'm thinking of as like a interesting gameplay is people on their phones are going and actually updating your game rather than you pushing things out to mobile phones or to other game clients. Theoretically, there's nothing preventing like multiple Unity clients from communicating this way. But this isn't really intended to be like replace multiplayer. That is not really the goal. It's just a different way of doing this. This gives you a way to kind of integrate this into web apps or into online applications that you might not normally use like a normal multiplayer solution for. That's why I'm trying this. And it might not even be good at that. I don't really know. So we're going to grab these 3 lines. I'm going to just copy them and we're going to throw them into a mono behavior and see what happens. So to do that, let's go and create our player name updater. There we go. And so I'm just going to throw those into the start method. The thing that I don't know how to fix is this. There's a start async thing. That's an async function, and our start method isn't async. I don't know how to fix this. I've been trying to think of like ways that I can get around this, and I just don't know. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to do this. I don't recommend this necessarily as a solution, but it will get rid of it for now. And that's better. One thing you might be thinking is like we can throw a weight on there. I don't know where my IntelliSense went. It's gone, but that's okay. But that weight is going to cause Unity to freeze until we actually establish that connection, which might not be what we want. If, for example, our server is down, our game is going to not like that. It's probably going to crash or hang or do something really bad. So I'm going to avoid the wait and just rely on this. I'm thinking if there's a way to do this better. I don't know. I haven't done this before. So 2 things I want to change. First, all these errors. There we go. Fixed. Perfect. All right. So we don't need to change the server. Probably if you're shipping your game, you're not going to be connecting to some local host thing. That probably isn't what you intend to do. For testing, I'm just going to leave it. And then here, we're writing out to console, to the console. Let's change that to a log like this. And then I also want to preserve that hub connection. So let's pull that out here. It's a hub connection builder, which means it once you call build, it's going to create a hub connection. So we can use that. There we go. And now we build that, create our callback, and then start our thing. And I think that's everything. I'm pretty sure. So my hope is that if I plug this into, say, our main camera, what? Why are there 2? Anyway, whatever. We're going to go here, and then we're going to run this and see what happens. All right, nothing happens, but that's okay because we haven't sent our message yet. So if I can pull this up, what's the best way to do this? Well, that looks gross. Cool, let's do that. I'm going to switch this into a console view so that you can see when it comes in. And then we just need to type something here. So let's call it player name. And so we get name updated to player name in our console. It looks gross. Screen sizes are weird. And then we also get a console log, name updated player name. So we just updated our player name in 2 places at once with magic. So this is cool. It means that I can actually send any message I want. I'm using strings like that. That's just what we're using right now. So if we look here at our writer stuff, we're using strings. We don't have to use strings. The cool thing with SignalR is it automatically parses out your objects for you. So we can send any complex class or data type we want, and it will automatically deserialize it, and we can just use those in this callback function. I'm using strings because it's simple, but that isn't a limitation here. It will automatically handle the serialization and deserialization on both ends, so we don't need to deal with that. So that's that. We're good. So now this is cool. Let's go and add a canvas, and let's actually get this updating. UI canvas. There we go. Cool. Screen space. That's probably fine. And let's add our text. Okay, we won't use Text Mesh Pro because I haven't imported it. It's a new project. Let's just use a normal text thing. Where? Legacy text. Sure, why not? Oh, we don't have. Oh, we do have a font. Okay, perfect. Cool. Player name. Let's make this bigger. Too big. I always forget how to use Unity's UI. There we go. Done. All right, so now we have our new text. We're going to swap this out magically with our new thing. So whenever we get a player name, we're just going to update this with our player name. And then we can do whatever we want. We could start sending colors over and change the player's color. We could change their position. We could add new enemies when somebody clicks a button on their phone. Whatever we want. So it kind of opens up a lot of possibilities if this works. So let's go here. And I need to figure out how to. I'm modifying while it's playing. Oh, did I just add all that while it was? Oops. I totally did, didn't I? Yep. All right, cool. Good job, me. Let's do that again because it wasn't that very fun the first time. So let's make it more fun. To do that, add a text. Cool. Switch over to game view so I know what I'm doing. Set this to like 32. Make this bigger. There we go. Center it all, and we're good. All right, we're right back to where we started. Let's go and do a text. Text box. Sure. And I think that's it. I think that's all we need to do. So let's take this debug and let's say textbox.text equals our name. Done. And everything's automatically deserialized for us. Again, just using strings because it's easy. But yeah. So let's run this. And hopefully now, if this works, that new oh, that's not going to work. Let me make this work first. So if I go and assign this, so our text is actually correctly referenced, now it should work. Important details. So that's good. That's good. Everything's running. Let's go and open our console app. There we go. Pull up our text. And now what do we want to call it? Let's call it World of Zero. And it works. So I can now send messages from my console into Unity and change names. Maybe not the most exciting example. I have ideas for games around this that we'll dive deeper into what this can actually do. But this is mostly just me proving the concept to see if it's actually worth investing time in. And this means yes. So more of that. Next, we're going to be adding a Blazor web app. So we're going to be doing all of this again, but we're going to be doing this in a web app. So you can actually pull it up on your phone, on your browser, wherever a browser works. So whatever that might be, you can pull it up and then send these messages, just like we're sending from the console, into our game. And that way you can have like a host, for example. If you have like a party game, you can have a host on a TV playing the game, and everybody can be sending messages to that host over the SignalR server and allowing it to update. And so that way you can have your phones being joysticks, or however you want to work it. So there's a lot of ways that you can actually set all of this up. This is cool because it's not that much work. Like we didn't write any code really. We wrote like 3-4 lines of code here to actually get this to work. We set up a connection, set up a callback, and then just started the connection, and that's it. That's all we needed. Eventually, this you'll probably want to pull up to some cloud server somewhere, but it's just a web server, right? And so it's just sitting there relaying these messages back and forth. And so that shouldn't be too big of a deal. So cool. I'm going to leave it here. We will pick it up in the next episode, looking at Blazor, so that you can actually do all this stuff with a web app. And then on to actually building the game with it, I think. Once we prove out that it all works and it's all cool, then we can build something with it. That's going to take more time. I'm going to need to figure out which idea I actually want to pursue first, but that's on the way. So thanks so much for watching. If this is interesting and you want to see more of kind of like this hybrid cloud / gaming stuff, let me know. Otherwise, I guess I will see you in the next video when we do something entirely different. So until then, see you, internet.